What was the family's reaction to your postnatal depression?
Well, maybe I was the first person ever to be in this family who ever had a depression or was ever openly tearful. And obviously that was daunting because if you've never seen it before, how do you support it?
I think the volume of what was coming in and the interest was greater because of social media. And if a member of his family will comfortably say, we've all had to deal with things that are rude and racist are not the same.
Meghan claims to be communicating with the late Princess Diana through the realms of the spiritual world. If that's so, then surely Diana would be screaming what we are all thinking, Meghan, you idiot, what are you playing at? Do better. Today we are going to analyse a couple of reasons why Meghan, even if she changed her name to Spencer, will never be the people's princess. Let's get to the crunch. Meghan wore Diana's perfume to lure in Prince Harry and ultimately secure herself a royal fortune. But she was fixated by the late princess long before she met Harry. Although she claimed that she had barely heard of the royal family before meeting Harry and moreover, she had never even seen a curtsy, sources close to her would claim otherwise. One source stated that she had a copy of the book Diana, Her True Story on her bookshelf and was caught crying whilst watching the live broadcast of Diana's funeral. However, her attempts to fill the shoes of the Queen of People's Hearts were unfortunately doomed due to some rather large oversights. Diana's global charm was fueled by her vulnerability. The nation watched as a young mother's marriage crumbled and her health subsequently declined in a desperate attempt to save her family unit. The universe watched while her fragile heart broke. Millions felt her pain as many of her supporters had lived through a very similar experience. This very fact made Diana, although born into aristocracy, extremely relatable, like no royal before her. What can we relate to with regards to Meghan Markle? Can we relate to coming from an unstable home with a father who would die for his daughter? Well, maybe, but she also has a mother, Doria, who could not stay with one man for more than 5 minutes, due to the fact that the real love of her life was for marijuana, according to Tom Bower's book Revenge. These circumstances are certainly less common than the classic cheating husband story, which we saw unfold slowly before our eyes back in the 90s. So can anyone relate to the rags and riches anecdote that we hear on repeat from Meghan? I would bet that almost none of us can claim that we have married a prince. So again, who can relate? And can we empathize with her incessant whining about how terribly marginalized women are, when she has had more opportunities open up to her than most women throughout human history? And not due to her skill set or talent, but solely due to the grace of her marriage title. Meghan was gifted the opportunity to interview some of the world's most talented women, the opportunity to make unlimited content on Netflix, and most of all, the opportunity to change the world as a humanitarian in the same way that Diana did. She practically laughed in the face of these opportunities. Someone needs to tell her that it takes more than 1 hour per week to change the world. Diana was, in a sense, cast out of the royal family to make room for Camilla. She did not choose to leave in the same way that Meghan did. And although her relationship with Charles was fraught with pain, she never attempted to make the nation feel sorry for her, nor did she attempt to bring down the monarchy. In the famous interview with Martin Bashir, we hear Diana open up about her depression, but she does not dwell on her pain and suffering. Instead, she quickly deflects the conversation, firstly acknowledging the fact that her own entourage were unable to help her through no fault of their own, but merely due to the fact that they had had no experience with her illness before.
What was the family's reaction to your postnatal depression?
Well, maybe I was the first person ever to be in this family who ever had a depression or was ever openly tearful. And obviously that was daunting because if you've never seen it before, how do you support it?
It is clear that she holds no resentment or animosity for the lack of support she received at that difficult period. Meghan, on the other hand, cannot blame the royal family enough. In her opinion, she was treated differently and bullied on a scale that no one has ever seen before. The royal family didn't do enough to help her when she was at her lowest. She not only blames them for her suffering at that period, but she also blames them for not fixing it. The cherry on top is that in Meghan's world, nobody's experiences or suffering come even close to her own. Meghan is...
What kind of girl are you?
Let's just say I'm a special girl.
Remember when Diana was faced with the same problems, she placed emphasis on the fact that there was nothing special about her problems, as she was one of the many women in Britain suffering in this way.
What did you actually do?
Well, I just hurt my arms and my legs. And I work in environments now where I see women doing similar things, and I'm able to understand completely where they're coming from.
This immediately reaches people on a deeper level. People who have shared her dark experiences could listen to this and feel like they are not alone. But more importantly, understand that they too could find help as she did. Diana, subsequent to healing through therapy, began to work with other women who were suffering like she had. She met with many women in an attempt to help them heal and raise awareness for their problems. But the biggest difference was that Diana had compassion for the people who were ill-equipped to help her, where Meghan berated the royal family for not solving her problems.
Kate was called Waity Katie, waiting to marry William. While I imagine that was really hard, and I can't picture what that felt like. This is not the same.
Meghan harbors about as much eloquence as you find in the early morning conversations on an elementary school bus. Even that may be an insult to elementary school children. Someone said the very idea that she would want to change her name to Spencer and wants to become the next Diana is delusional. It's like she's living in the Hollywood world in which you write a script, create a movie, produce it, and suddenly it becomes real for her. She really is living in her very own La La Land. What she believes or what she depicts to be true is so inaccurate. This sort of humbling experience that you have, you know, when you grow from a child to an adult, in which you stop believing in fairy tales and start understanding the real world. She skipped out that phase of uncovering reality. Maybe it was because of the secondhand smoke from her mother's doobies. Someone else said she's an embarrassment to the United States. Even me, a girl like me of English and Danish heritage from Utah, understands royal protocol. Please go quietly away. I feel awful for Harry, he's stuck. Quietly is not in Meghan's vocabulary, I think. If you had to use 3 words to describe Meghan Markle, quietly would be nowhere on the list. In fact, it wouldn't even make the list of the top 1,000 words that you could use to describe Meghan Markle. Someone else said she's the type that everyone can sense something isn't right, constantly acting a role, don't have a real side of her, kind of creepy and cringe-worthy. One of the most striking differences I see within the 2 interviews back to back, when you see them like this, of Meghan talking to Oprah and Diana talking, is just how genuine you feel Princess Diana is. I believe the words she's saying. I believe she's not trying to hide or act, or of course she has classical ballet dance training, but she did not have any sort of acting training. And so she wouldn't have known how to act differently. She was just being herself. And it is much easier to connect with someone who does come across as genuine. On the other side, you have Meghan. The whole time, even with the small micro expressions that she makes throughout this interview, and with the fact that we have now debunked some of the bigger lies that she made, then how can you trust that there's truth in anything that she's saying? The problem is that somebody told Mimi early on that she was beautiful and could accomplish whatever she put her mind to, and she believed it. Again, somebody needs to give her a reality check. That reality check that she did not have in her early development from when she grew from a child to an adult. We see her living in this artificial bubble where she is not seeing reality as we are. She has absolutely zero self-awareness. Someone else said, I have been wary of Meghan and Harry since I endured their Oprah interview. That's a very good way of describing how you feel when you watch it. The racist BS did it for me. I love that their pretend chickens are coming home to roost. I never thought there were chickens at Montecito. They are the laugh of the century. Endurance of the Oprah interview is exactly what we all felt. They could probably punish prisoners in prison if they wanted to with just putting on this Oprah interview. Thank you for these comments. Give this video a like if you happen to agree that Meghan will never fill Princess Diana's shoes, and subscribe to help our little channel blossom. See you down in the comments.